Speaking about October the 11th, Boots Ennis, Wells Fargo Centre, Philadelphia. You're bringing him back against this Lima from Angola. For those who don't know, I watched a bit of tape on him. This guy's a bit of a beast.
I know. It's a bit, when you match make, you got to be true to yourself in terms of what you know and what you want to see. So I want to see a great fight. I want to see a beast come and stick it on Ennis at 154, because I know how good Ennis is, right? But if I choose someone that don't think they can win or wants to just run around a ring and go on points, we're not going to give the Wells Fargo or Philadelphia a great fight. I know Lima. I know his team. They've sent him away the last 3 or 4 fights into backyards and he's beaten everybody, right? And they're not Boots, but they're 15-0, 17-0 undefeated fighters. This guy is a legit top 10 154 pounder. He's top 10 with 3 governing bodies. I think he's 10 or 11 on BoxRec. He's the IBO world champion. He's coming to change his life. He will stick it on Boots and have a war. That's what I want. Now, on the flip side, I had a row with Dan Raphael the other day because I said it's lazy journalism to just criticise a guy that you know nothing about. And he came back and said, no, I didn't say that. I said, no one knows who he is. He said, well, they do know who he is, but just because you don't know who he is, you want to reflect that on what you're saying. So, I believe that of the 7 people or whatever it was that we offered fights to, this is the best fight.
Really?
And this is the guy that will come tougher than anybody. And I'll tell you something now. I mean, Boots at 147 was good, right? The Stanionis performance, incredible. Wait till you see him at 54. I mean, he's walking around fight week at 47. You only got to look at him. I mean, he's massive. But he's depleted. 54 and 60, by the way. He will clean up both divisions. We're negotiating with Golden Boy for the Virgil Ortiz fight. I love the fight.
Love it.
I love it. It's one of the best fights in American boxing. And he will do a job on Virgil Ortiz, I'm telling you. Xander Zayas, another great fighter. But I want Boots to win the belts.
Clean them all out?
Yeah, we unified at 47. We would have liked to fight more, but it's very difficult getting them to fight. It's like Virgil Ortiz. You've got the manager, Rick Mirrigan. And just to set the record straight, we sat in a room with the Zone and Golden Boy and we talked about the structure of a deal. We went away, we presented it to Boots, and Boots signed to fight Virgil Ortiz under our new extension in the management contract. I said that in an interview and everyone said, Hearn says Ennis Ortiz signed. I said, no, I didn't. We've signed. He ain't. And Rick Mirrigan said to me, well, we haven't had a contract. I said, well, we discussed the deal and we hope that Golden Boy, Virgil Ortiz can come together to make a brilliant fight. Virgil's a great fighter. Boots is a great fighter. 2 different audiences. It's a big American fight. And fingers crossed, we've got to come through October 11th first.
You're doing some great things up there in Philly. Matchroom leading the way there. You're putting in some bloody big crowds.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo Centre, 15,000, 16,000. Is that one of the things you want to continue? Like when we look at the American market, and you've got Boots at 154, you're saying he's the best. He'll be the best at 154. Clear him out. Will you continue on with that in Philly, or would you like to take him to other parts of America?
I think it's interesting. I've noticed a lot of homecoming fights where people have underperformed a little bit. I mean, if you think about it, Boots boxed Avanesian, boxed well, then boxed Chudazian in a rematch. Didn't box so well, but it was a bit of a nothing fight.
Got hit a bit.
Then we took him to Atlantic City, right, which was out of town. Smashed in another 10,000 down there, and a big resurgence of big time boxing at the Ballpark Hall. He liked boxing in Philly, but I don't think you want to rely on it all the time. We haven't been to Philly now for what will be close to a year when we go back, which is a nice amount of time, right? Yeah. You don't want to go there 3 times a year because it's just too much for people. So, but we were astonished by the interest and the numbers in a great fight city, great sports city like Philadelphia. So we'll be back there October 11th. We'll do another 12, 15,000, whatever it's going to be. But I think Boots now, if he can do a job there, go on and fight Virgil Ortiz, we may look to do that fight in Vegas. I think Vegas is actually crying out for fights like that. Please. And Virgil can sell in Dallas, Boots can sell in Philly, but take him away, let's make a big fight in Vegas.
When you talk about clearing out the division, we've got another guy there, Sebastian Fundora, the BC champion. Al's got a lot of them, you know what I mean? You look at Spence, if he comes back at 54, you know, I mean, you look at Fundora, you got Keith Thurman, all these. Well, you prepared to work with Heyman and try and get those done?
I mean, you know, I've got a very good relationship with Louis DeCube. It's like I've been making fights with him since Joshua Charles Martin. I mean, that was, and I've always been a little bit like that with Al, but Louis always been the one who's kind of said, look, let me deal with him, you know, like, and Louis is great at what he does. And I think that as long as people want always money, but they want to actually prove they're the best,
legacy,
we'll be okay.
Okay.
As soon as it's just about money, we're always going to struggle with Boots because he's really good. But if you're a champion and you want to test yourself, first thing we've got to do is we've got to get hold of the title for Boots. Then, because this is what happened at 47, no one wanted to fight Boots. He got elevated to interim champion. And then, but at least then, if you fight Boots, you're fighting for the title. He underperformed it against Chudazian. And then Stanionis and the PBC went, oh, maybe he's not as good as people think. We'll fight him. And then he boxes out of his skin.
Oh.
So if he goes in and smashes Lima up, maybe the Virgil Ortizes, maybe the Zandazars will go, we'll swerve him and we'll fight for the championship. So now the manoeuvring is important.
Yeah.
Jaron Ennis.
Next year, could you see that? So you're saying Lima into hopefully Ortiz later this year, would you do?
I would say January, February, that kind of time.
And then next year, say to the guys, because
Fundora, Zayas. I mean, in an ideal world, you know, once he beats Lima, we'll be pushing for the Crawford fight because he's the champion still. I do think he'll vacate at some point. So we want that title. You know, the WBC. Don't forget that Virgil was the interim champion with the WBC as well. And you got Fundora, WBA. You got Xander Zayas. Sorry. So we just need him to fight everyone. You could get a great thing going there. Do you know what I mean? Boots, Virgil, Fundora, Zayas. Some brilliant fights to be made.
And then there's some guys underneath that.
Yeah.
And Al's got
sorry. And also, let's not forget Mert's alive.
Correct.
We forget about him. He's the IBF champion. He's a beast. But we'll fight him if we need a title.
Boots, we'll fight him?
100%. What a fight.
What's he do to him?
Listen, I think Boots is too good for everybody. But Mert's alive's a tough, strong boy. I mean, look, Tim Tszyu, he done a job on him. Excuse me. And I think he's been mandated to fight Lubin. But then apparently Ortiz might fight Lubin, which is a decent fight as well.
Another one Al's got. Yeah, Al's got a lot of them.
We'll see.
Last question, big one. We've heard different dates. November the 15th, Tottenham Hotspur, the rematch. I've got to say his name first. Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn, the rematch. Is that a close date? Is that a real date? Is that we're getting close to that?
Yeah, that's a real date. That's a real date. That's the date we've been given and confirmed. So press conference, I think, will follow probably after Canelo Crawford. Back at Spurs, back to the scene of the crime from the first one. And it was it's one of the best fights I've ever seen live. The whole drama of the build-up, the dad turning up on the night. Obviously, I presume this time he's going to be involved from the start of the promotion, which will make the whole event even bigger. And Conor wants revenge. I mean, look, it's very difficult moving up the weight classes. I mean, look, Crawford's about to try and do it, and I know that's at elite level, but Conor Benn's a world-class fighter, and he's moving up 2 divisions again. And you saw in the ring, he was the smaller guy. I mean, it showed in there. But it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And they both showed unbelievable heart that night, and they gave us a Fight of the Year contender. November 15th will just be round 13. It'll just be the same again, those two going to war. And I believe this time Conor Benn will get the win.
Do you feel also, Eddie, this one that you and Nigel and the team will probably, you were that was a flock. I've seen you at so many fights, and I love this about you. And that's one thing I can't wait for the Netflix show, the polarising, your energy, you wear your heart on your sleeve, I can't wait to see that footage. I hope it was mic'd up when Katie Taylor won the second one, and you gave it to a few people. Will you guys, when you go into this fight, will you sort of have some influence on Conor that you might say, Conor, maybe with this build-up we address things a little bit different, we'll attack it a little bit different after the loss? Yeah, no,
I think Conor's Conor. I think the fight itself, the key with that first fight is we were coming in with real poor inactivity. With everything that had happened to Conor, we haven't boxed for a year, and even over the last 2 years, he's boxed just a couple of small fights. Eubank boxed, I think, 4 or 5 months before in Saudi.
Saudi.
So he came in with a little
7
bit
metre.
more, and you know, I think that will suit Conor having that activity. But Eubank's tough, you know. I mean, he showed a lot of toughness there, but I think that fight would have taken miles off the clock as well for Eubank.
How does he go with getting back at that weight? Like, would that
Yeah, I
weight?
think, to be honest, like
Is it 68 this fight?
no, 60.
60, sorry.
But they're saying that apparently he was a little bit ill going into the fight, Eubank, and that affected the weight. The rehydration was not a problem for Eubank. He turned up on the scales, he had a jacket on, he had all his clothes on, and he was half a pound under. So he's probably 2 pound, 3 pound under the hydration. Not a problem. He was tight at 160, no doubt. That's his weight. That's the weight he's boxed at his last 6 fights. I can't, you know, there's nothing like, people say, oh, you're making him boil down to 160. That's his weight. He's a middleweight. Yes, he's boxed at super middleweight before, but was he tight at it? Yeah, 100%. But that's the terms that we agreed. What about Conor Benn coming up 2 divisions? Is that not a disadvantage? I mean, you know, well, why don't you just make it 168?
Pretty
And
amazing.
that's 3 divisions. I mean, that's fucking madness. So that's what makes the fight competitive. And this time I think we'll get the win.
Connor's looking pretty good. He's back in
Looks great,
training
yeah.
already. He's getting ready for it. I think Chris is back doing his sort of stuff. So it leads to a very successful fight.
Can't wait.